So the topic this week is a continuation of last week. We were talking about unique marketing ideas and lead generation ideas. And so we'll start there. I got a whole bunch of stuff I can talk about that I'm going to talk about, but I want to go out to you guys first, and then we'll get to me. Ryan, so since you are still on morphine, let's let's see how funny you'll be. So what's your unique marketing ideas that we can share with everybody?
Well, the first question is, do we want buyers or do we want sellers? We always want to use an offer that speaks to our target audience. I think most people are tired of buyers right now because it's hard to get their offers accepted. So if we can get more listings, that'd be a great tool. There's a company called homeward.com, HOMEWARD.com. You don't need to look into it now, but just use it as a resource. You don't even need to even understand their program, but it's a finance company that will finance up to $50,000 of home renovations for a seller to put their home on the market. So a unique offer that would differentiate you from everybody else in your market would be something like this. Hey, thinking about selling your Seattle home, but it needs improvements? Get up to $50,000 in a cash advance to improve your property to make it worth $100,000, $200,000 more. That would be an example of a unique offer. My use Brian Moses's home renovations program. For more details, click the link below or give me a call. So they call and go, how does that program work? The person that calls you obviously is thinking about selling their home. So now in an instant, we're talking to somebody who wants to sell their home. That's why we're in this business in the first place. So no prospecting, no cold calling, no door knocking. We get them to call us. You say, the program works great. When can I come and see your home? What are you thinking of doing? Well, we're thinking of redoing the tile bathroom. We're thinking of redoing the kitchen countertops. We're thinking of, maybe doing changing some of the fixtures on the bathroom sinks. All right, great. When could I come and take a look at the property and see if A, you need to do that, and B, connect, help you get that advance so that you can get your property set for the market.
I think that's awesome. I've done something very similar to that, although I haven't used a company like Homeward or Curbio. I have been doing one that just said, up to $25,000 to prepare your home for sale. And the way that I've done that is just, I have a flooring guy and a painter and a landscaper basically that will do the work up front and then agree to be paid at closing.
It's awesome.
Obviously not for stuff like, redoing bathrooms and things like that, but just the general stuff.
But it gets them to call, right, Matt? So right, if they're thinking, I want to do my kitchens and baths, and you are thinking, well, I don't do kitchens and baths. I do lawn and maintenance and bark mulch. But when can I see your home? And then you have that conversation with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
For those of the agents that are on here that are in EXP, you should be using Curbio. And I don't think you need to be in EXP to use Curbio, but Curbio is not in every state. Yet I've seen phenomenal exchanges on it. We have talked to them. Matter of fact, I think one of my contractors just got approved with them. And they'll do the kitchens, the bathrooms. I believe it's like interest free and all that stuff until final settlement and things of that nature. So there's Curbio, there's that homeward.com, and then you can just do like Maddie said, go out and get your own guys and put a cap on them, have them sign a note and know that you got the listing. So there's another three ways.
I've got one more and then I'll shut up. A buyer match program. So, hey, if you're thinking about selling your home, before you go to market, we've got dozens and dozens of pre-approved cash buyers looking in the San Diego market who have been unsuccessful in finding a home so far. If you're thinking about selling your home, before you go to the formality of listing your home for sale, why don't you see if your home matches one of our pre-approved vetted buyers that we're currently working with? and avoid the hassle of having to go to market. So they call you, hey, we saw your ad, we heard your ad, we saw your video. You go, great, when can I come and see your home to see if it matches any of the buyers I'm working with? We're working with lots of buyers. And rather than traipse a bunch of people through your house, when can I see your house? You go see the house, you convert it to a listing, you actually talk them out of selling the property to your buyer. Even if you have a buyer, you want to say to the seller, hey, if my buyer is willing to make an offer on your property, that's one buyer. Is getting the most amount of money important to you? Seller says yes. Well, the best way to do that is to create a bidding war. Price is a function of supply and demand, and the more demand you get on your home, the better price you'll receive. We can certainly show it to my buyer, but would you have any objection to me showing it to every other buyer that might be interested? And then you sign the listing agreement and off you go to the races.
I love that line of yours, Brian. Price is a function of demand. I use that all the time, by the way.
Matt,
Yeah.
congratulations, by the way. I heard you brought on a big one. Good job.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. So in one other, just talking about lead gen, I think I've mentioned this before, but I've been experimenting with these handwritten, and I think Lurchy does this too, but handwritten cards, you know, that you can have a mailing company send out. I use this company called Letter Labs that I mentioned before. But I've been sending out kind of exactly what you just talked about, Brian, saying, look, we just sold a house in the area. We had multiple offers. We have other buyers that missed out on that property and are looking for a home in your neighborhood. You know, if you're interested in selling, let me know. I'd love to talk with you. And, I can tell you your home's current market value and describe specific tactics to generate multiple offers. And so I just got a call yesterday, as a matter of fact, on a mailer that I just did. And it's probably, it's a nice, expensive home. And that was the exact conversation that I had is, yeah, we have a bunch of buyers, but can I just come out and take a look and blah, blah, blah. And so I got an appointment with them on Friday. So it's the bottom line, I think, for everybody on this call is just, you gotta get it out there, whether it's digital marketing or direct mail. Lurchy, what you
Thanks.io. It's thanks.io. I just put it into the chat for everybody. There's another one that can do it. Exactly what you're doing. They can actually, we also use listings of leads. We can take a QR code that says scan here, and they'll put it in the handwriting of the letter that is there in the note. Scan here to see what your home's worth, and it'll go in and it'll tag it, suck all the information, and then it flows into our KV core. So yeah.
And are those postcards, or are they cards with an envelope?
They can be cards with an envelope. Either one that you want to do it is however you lay it out in there. We're exploring more and more with them. So we're sending them out to a few unique people that we know and having it tested before we go to the mass market and mailing 500 or 200 of them. We're mailing them to 3, 4, 5 people because we're putting the address and we're testing to see what's going on and what they seem to like and how's it coming through. So before you go all in, test a couple. Test it coming to your house. Test to see what's going on. I always, whenever I do a mailer, I always add myself to the list. I want to see what's going on. I want to make sure it went out. I want to see how long it took to get there. So just as an idea.
What does that company charge for, do you know off the top of your head for postcards? Or
I'm going to say $1.69 or something. Depending on the bigger card, it could be $1.89, but that's postage and everything. That's what I believe. I believe it's something like that. I can get that. I mean, you go to thanksio.com, thanks.io down below in the chat. You should be able to fill it up, and I'll get a link if I can find it and put it in the chat.
No, that's fine. I saw that website too. So,
okay. Talking about the leads, there was an interesting conversation that came up the other day. How many of us have KV Core? How many of us know how to drive it like a Ferrari? How many of us drive it like a B210 or an old beat up Pinto? Okay. For those of you who aren't old enough to know what a Pinto or a B210 is, go look it up online. You don't want to be stuck in it, especially if they're bright orange, bright yellow, or that orange, yellow, or that green avocado, whatever it is. So that's how far
They
back.
don't even know what a Datsun is.
Exactly. I think
Right.
I think Datsun's now Nissan. So here's the difference of where we're going at this. If you're in EXP, or if you're not in EXP and you want to go buy KV core, it's about 600 and some odd dollars a month. If you're here with us at EXP, it's $85 a month in our tech stack. We are driving this thing like it's an old clunker. It's like the Beverly Hillbillies coming into Beverly Hills. The thing runs like a Ferrari. It runs like a Lambo. It runs like a Learjet. Our problem is we're doing it clunking because we're not taking the time to learn it. It should be click shifting and getting leads between 25 and 100 a month if you're doing it right. I've made a commitment to learn how to drive it like a Ferrari. I have my VA for the next month. All right. My offshore girl, 40 hours a week for the next 2 weeks. She's not allowed to touch a thing other than learn how to drive that thing with the clickers of the Ferrari, not the stick shift, the paddle shifting, moving really hard. If you want to learn more, go on Shannon Pritt. Mitch, your buddy. Shannon.
Just a quickie on that. We're just so you know, our VA is in the process of being, I don't want to get into a whole KV Core EXP thing here because it's not our function, but our VA is learning it, mastering it right now, and we'll be adding it to a weekly class available to all our agents.
There you
So
go. There you go. I just put my girl through the boot camp. She starts with Shannon on Monday, so I'm running parallel with you. Unfortunately, I didn't know that, but perfect. Learn that. It's free marketing. We have our CRM. It's there. We're just not driving it right. That's the number one idea.
He's being trained by Sylvia Dane, who's a rock star. So
What you said?
Sylvia Dane is the person training him. She's a rock star. I mean, she's amazing. I'm going to go really quickly and go through a few things just to get mine out of the way because I got a few things I want to say and I got to hop off a little bit early today for another appointment. I know that makes everybody sad and going to cry, but I don't want you crying. So I've always been a unique marketing person anyways. And I'm a person that likes results. So I'll tell you a couple of things that I did that worked really well. And remember when you're posting things there, Matt, you just posted something that just went to the panelist. Make sure you're posting it so it's going to everybody. If you're going to ask a question, make sure you go say it to everyone or nobody's seeing your stuff. So a couple of things that we used to do that were really, really good. One is we did welcome to the neighborhood parties. And we did pretty much all of our buyers. And what those were pretty simple is we would send a postcard to all the neighbors. Hey, we're having a little welcome party in the driveway of the Joneses. They just moved into 555 Main Street. Come by, and we'd bring a grill, and we'd cook out burgers and dogs. We'd bring on, beer, wine, and water and soda for the kids. The beer and wine was for the kids, soda and stuff for the parents. And we always got people. I always got deals from those. I mean, I always got new people that were interested in knowing valuations on their houses and stuff like that. The other thing we did when we had higher end stuff. And I'll give you an example. One of the homes I sold was $2 million, which in my area at the time was extremely high. Now it's medium high. We did a private dinner with 4 couples and my wife and I. So the owner, 4 of his best friends and their wives or husbands, and my wife and I. So there's, I think, 12 of us there. And it was an amazing night. Cost me about $3,000, maybe 4, for a private 5-6 course meal. Private chef, the whole works. I sold 2 homes from that day from those 2 people. So it's all about, you should never be cheap in your money. When you're making money, you have to spend money to keep growing your business. Another one, I probably mentioned this on here before, but I love it, is Starbucks. This is one of my favorite things. We have an agent that does 30 transactions a year. And all he does is he sits at Starbucks from 8 to 11, Monday through Friday. And on the back of his laptop, it says, real estate question, ask me. Now, I've taught this to a lot of people, and it's amazing how many people have trouble writing the words real estate question, ask me. They'll write, I'm a realtor, they'll write all those stupid things on the back of their thing instead of real estate question, ask me. One of the things when we talk about programs and different things that we do, follow them the way we teach them. Right? Don't try to alter them because we're teaching you proven ways that we all make money with. So I love that because the nice thing about doing Starbucks is a couple of things. One, you get people coming in at the same time every day. The guy that comes in at 9:02 today is going to be there tomorrow at 9:02, the next day at 9:02. But you also you have to be consistent. So this guy does this Monday through Friday, 8 to 11, drinks a few cups of coffee, probably wired by the time he leaves. But did 30 transactions, that's all he does. And you can choose your market. So if you don't like the price point that you're in right now, just drive 20 minutes to a different price point, a half hour to a different price point, into a Starbucks there. So I love that one. If you have a friend that's a Lyft or Uber driver or a taxi driver, I had several transactions from my friend who's a Uber driver. And he would just, oh, you're in town, where are you from? And oh, you're from New York, what are you doing down here? Oh, we're thinking about buying. Oh, you got to call my friend Mitch. And people would call me. So there's little things. Another one is a good one is commercial agents. We all know commercial agents, right? They hate residential, hate it. So become friends with the commercial agent and give them commercial deals if you can find them. But they'll give you their residential deals at 25% because they don't want to do it. And then one more, I mean, I have 100 of these, so I'll just give you one more good one I like. I think it's really important that we get away for weekends. And if you're lucky enough to be in a place that has beaches like I am with Cocoa Beach or San Diego or historic stuff or like Boston or Pennsylvania, where they have a cracked bell up there somewhere, is staycations. So when I first got in the business, one of the things, I'd go to the beach to stay at the hotel on the beach, nice hotels on the beach, and I'd meet people at the pool all day drinking. And it was not there. There was nobody else local there. It was all people from out of state. Sold several homes that way. So there's a million ways to do this. You just have to be creative sometimes and think outside the box. Internet lead gen is great. And I don't want to take away what Craig said, but if you're not going to have the right processes and systems in place to do internet lead conversion, then don't waste your money on lead gen. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, I see so many people spending thousands and thousands of dollars on that. I'm actually working with a company called HomeGain. Dennis knows these guys very well, BuyerLink. And we're going to be putting together a lead conversion webinar for you guys probably the next 2 weeks. That'll be really, really cool and showcasing their product, because it's a great product on how to get leads to your KV Core website, if you have a KV Core website. Anyways, that's it for me. I got 100 of these things. Maybe someday I'll just do a whole other webinar just on 101 ways to generate leads. But divorce attorneys, they're really good too, because they all know people that have got to sell their houses. Yeah, go on. All right, Pete, I'll let you take over, bud.
No, that's great stuff, Mitch. The other thing I would add on to that, because a lot of people, with the tip to sit in Starbucks, or everything that you have should be branded. You can go to a company called Skinit, SKINIT.com, and you can brand, and it's really easy to do online. You don't need, say, a graphic designer. I mean, you can certainly do it that way if you want, but you can brand the back of your iPhone, your iPad, your computer, and all that branding should be similar. And it should all just say, hey, ask me about real estate. That's it. And the people will look at it and they'll come up to you and say, so how's real estate going? You have to ask, you always say great, but it depends on what sector you're speaking about. Is it investments? Is it single family homes? Is it condos? Is it multifamilies? Is it a second home? Is it for Airbnb? And then that starts a whole nother conversation. I'll put it in the chat box, but it's called Skinit, SKINIT.com. And that's how you brand every single thing you have, so that people can see that, and just put it in big letters. Ask me about the real estate market, and invite them to ask you questions about it. I love that. It's really, really important. And it works wonders. I've had my stuff branded for years, you guys. I don't think you can see it. Well, maybe you can. There you go. And that's just the back of my iPhone, and then my iMac and my iPad. I have a lot of eyes. All of those branded the same, right? I sound like a 25-year-old millennial from San Francisco or something. I have a lot of Apple products all branded, but it does work because people will come up and have a conversation with you. And if you can get belly to belly with them, and you're really well versed, and you can have conversations about where the market's at and what's interesting them, even in your area, they're going to look at you as the authority of the professional, and you never know where those conversations can go. And those are real people looking to diversify, or looking for solutions, or thinking about moving up or moving down or moving out of state or being transferred, because the big things you have to focus on right now in this market is the 5 Ds. You know, people are moving because of debt, death, destination, the divorce, and diversification. Those 5 Ds. That's why they're moving around or buying things, because nobody knows. So let's go over those. Debt. A lot of people are going to end up, unfortunately, getting into massive debt with credit cards and all these other things. And if they lose their job, unfortunately, if there's not another job waiting for them, they could have a timeline where they can't afford to pay their mortgage or their taxes or their running costs on their house. So that may force them to sell. Divorce. You know, nobody wants 2 people living in a house that don't get along. So if somebody doesn't buy the other person out, they typically have to sell to split the assets. So that's another great way. Death. If somebody passes away, it turns into an estate sale. Typically, it's the heirs who want to sell it right away because that's being split. Diversification, if somebody is looking for a second home or they don't believe in the stock market or want to do Airbnb or VRBO or build a real estate portfolio, that's another type of way. And then destination, a lot of people are being transferred and moving around in and out of states to other jobs and other positions, or moving their families, and they're motivated to sell, or they're motivated to come in and buy, because typically their corporations and their companies only give them a specified period of time to find housing. So those are 5 Ds you should be focusing on right now. It's really, really important. And I think that's where you can really ramp up your business in this type of environment. Dennis, let's go over to you. So what are you utilizing right now in this business to get more leads and get more active buyers and active sellers?
Well, I mean, number one is open houses, guys. I mean, that's the cheapest, you know, there's inexpensive and then there's expensive, right? So I'll show you expensive in a minute, but inexpensive is open houses. I ran an open house. I have a listing in my neighborhood, which I typically don't do open houses, but I happen to do this one. I picked up a $4 million listing that's coming up, brand new construction. Picked up a $3 to $4 million buyer. Okay. So that was just 2 weeks of open houses. I mean, it's like shooting ducks in a barrel if you know what you're doing. So it's all about being trained and having good technique on how to do open houses. That's number one. So that's a whole nother story. You guys have probably seen our open house videos, hopefully. The other big thing I do that there's 4 jackpots I do, right? So the open houses, I do the letter campaign where if I have a buyer, I send out letters saying I have a buyer for your home. I think I've shared that with all you people. That thing is crazy good. $14 million house behind me on this wall. That came from that. Next thing I do is I have 2 commercial brokers that are very good friends of mine that I've did residential transactions with. I literally take them out to lunch. It's in my calendar once a month, both of them. And I pay for their lunch. They never pay. Every single time I go, they give me a referral, or they get their head thinking, right? Because like Mitch was saying, they don't want to do deals. But commercial guys hate residential. In fact, one of them has a real estate license. I'm about to list this house in La Jolla for $2.2 million because he doesn't want to do it. He's like, that's not my jam. He goes, you're my residential guy. You're doing it. So, stay close to your commercial guys. And if you're a commercial agent, there's probably a few of them on this call with the XP commercial. Go to the residential big agents that you know and tell them you give them a 25% referral fee. Any commercial. We don't want to do commercial. I don't. There's too much liability. I don't understand it really well, to be honest. I'm a residential guy. So, so take out not just commercial guys, but if you have a person that like an A-list referrer to you over the years, make sure you take care of them. Spend money on them. Take them out to lunch. Take them out to dinner. I mean, this is a business, guys. So if you have somebody that's giving you leads and you're making tens of thousands of dollars every year from them, from their generosity, take care of them. Don't when you get a referral, here's another tip. Never just pay them, like give them a gift, like, hey, thanks for the referral once the property closes, because then they're trained like, oh, they only appreciate me if they get money, right? So as soon as somebody gives you a referral, give them something immediately, whether it turns into a deal or not. That's really, really important point. So
that's a great point.
Yeah, and then we have and then we can go into online lead generation. It's a whole nother thing. That's I spend thousands a month on that. The Matt Batty had a gift from God that he gave me. Matt's not on anymore. Oh, there he is. This thing right here. This is the USP I use, you guys. So take a screenshot of that. Sell without listing. I got a listing called. I just took 2 days ago. That's going to go on a market Monday on Riviera Drive. $2 million beat up house. The mom died in it. She called off of this because her mom was in hospice. She didn't want anybody going into the house, so she was asking, how does sell without listing work? Another one on Crown Point Drive, that potential listing maybe in 6 months. Same thing. I don't want my neighbors knowing I'm moving to Tennessee. You know, what's here, I'll put it closer.
Dennis, hold that open so everyone can see the inside too.
Yep. And then the inside is kind of like this. If you can see that. So it's an incredible marketing piece. This cost me $800 a month. I've already closed one deal. Let me see, one or two. Anyways, I closed enough to pay for this for I did the math for 30 years. So this is free for 30 years. The two that I have coming up, they're free. I have one listed for $3 million. So this thing right here, Matt, thank you so much, buddy. I owe you big time. This is a jackpot. And this is what's the name of this, Matt? It's my REMS or
Yeah, real estate marketing.
RM marketing out of San Diego. I use it. I'm taking 2 listings for $2.5 million off of it for the last mailer. You've got to use that, everybody.
It's a no-brainer, guys. You know, this especially works good if you dominate a certain neighborhood. So, you know, let's say we probably have some agents in that Rancho Bernardo
Hey,
area.
Dennis, Dennis, somebody's playing it and they got to mute. They got to mute whatever they're playing.
I can't hear it. Pete, can you see who's?
Let me see if I can do it. Hold on.
Oh,
It's gone. It's gone. Good.
yeah. So guys, this year, this has been my #1 no-brainer. $800 a month, right? It's a lot of money. And I understand some of you might be newer agents and might not be at that level yet. So the newer agents, get your asses into open houses constantly. Like, and I always told everybody, Pete and I, when we were business partners, you know, 23 years ago, Pete, what did we do? Every single Sunday when people are watching football, Pete and I would go in for the early game, watching football in the bars with our buddies getting drunk, and Pete and I would be wearing a suit and tie. Everybody looked at us like we had rocks in our head. But you know what? Pete and I were walking out, jumping in Mercedes, and they were driving Toyota Tercels. So we knew it, right? And no, I'm not saying that to be brag, but I'm saying we did the work. So you have to go do open houses, and we were very consistent. We missed football on Sundays to go do our open houses because we knew. So if I was in a rock and a hard place right now, I just do open houses 7 days a week, honestly, and just sit there and just collect names and numbers. There's no other cheaper, better way of getting leads immediately. So. Well, that's what
I think that's a good point, Dennis. And you got to be consistent, you guys. And what we used to do is we used to set up all the open house signs and then go to the bar and watch football. Then we would leave at halftime because we were on the West Coast, and everybody would give us a hard time saying, "I can't believe you're leaving the game at halftime." And we said, "Oh, we'll watch the highlights later on. We have an open house from 1 to 4." They said, "But it's only 11:30. We would say we'd always want to get there an hour early because the best buyers show up half an hour early. And we would convert all of them. And then we would have it set up where we'd have at least 2 or 3 houses in that vicinity that were vacant, or we knew the people were going to be gone, and we would check those out and ask to be able to show it that afternoon. Because if it's a vacant house and you don't show it, it's not a huge situation. But the great thing about that is we would have it set up so people who came in the open house and would say, "Oh, this doesn't work for me." "Well, what are you looking for?" "You know, how do I earn your business?" "Oh, well, I would want this." "You know something? Can you meet me here at 4? I have 2 other opportunities I want to show you that nobody knows about that we can get into right at 4 o'clock. Meet me right here at 4. People that would show up, we would take them over there, and then we would ask for the order, ask what worked for them or what didn't. We build that relationship. Or better yet, I would just say, sign right here and you can move in this week. You know, why wait? When, you know, ask for the order and just really ask people, how can I make this the biggest win of your life? What can I do to help you? So it's a great way. I mean, right now with the lack of inventory across the United States and the lack of good housing, do open houses. And I know a lot of you are probably saying, well, I can't get an open house. That's not true. A lot of these agents don't want to do their open houses, or they're away, or they have a situation, start on Monday or even Sunday the previous week and call them and say, hey, I'm well versed. This is what I do. I would love to help you out. I'll represent you as well as I can, and I'll keep you updated and I'll communicate with you. Because here's the deal. Agents don't communicate. They don't know how to pick up a phone. There's this thing that was invented. It's called an iPhone. All you have to do is text and call. That's it. And it works. It's really kind of really ironic that people don't like to text and call to make transactions, to make things happen. You have to really look at it, you guys. If you want to be successful in this business, be scheduled, answer your phone, text people back, communicate well, keep relationships, don't take things personally, and go do it. Because the problem is a lot of people won't put in the work. They're waiting for it to come to you, right? We're talking about unique ways to generate leads. Go create the market. You know that if you have 2 buyers and they're looking in a certain area, go knock on doors, walk up and say, hey, and I got this from Brian. Hey, I don't mean to bother you, but I have 2 people looking in this neighborhood, and I told them I would knock on a few doors to see if anybody would be really excited to get a crazy price for their house. What price excites you? Ask them that. What price would excite you? And a lot of them are going to say, no, I'm not interested in moving. Say, thanks so much. Thanks for at least talking to me. I really appreciate it. Write down their name and number if they're really nice, and send them something, or stay in front of them. That's all it takes, you guys. But nobody wants to put in the work. They're waiting for everybody to come to them, like they're going to attend Coachella or something. It doesn't work that way. Okay, go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, so on KV Core, also with the company that we work for, you could pull up all the company-wide listings, let's say in San Diego, for open houses, right? So if you're having a hard time, pillage from our company first, and you can pull up all the company listings right on there. So you might have 30 to 50 listings that you can pick from. So I would definitely encourage that. I think we lost Pete, but I'll take over.
I was just going to say, guys, and for vacant listings or even occupied ones, you don't necessarily only have to do open houses on the weekend. You can do them during the week and just go there and work out of the house,
Yep.
So.
And I would do them, Matt, I would do them from, if they're during the week, which I have done in the past, I would do them from like 3 to 7, right? When people come driving home, because if they see an open house sign and they're busy on weekends with the kids, they might stop by. And keep in mind, guys, people that come into open houses, they're not just buyers. These people have things to sell as well. Even if they're coming from out of state, it could be a potential referral out of state. So, it's a no-brainer. But Dave Lawson, we're dying to hear you, the mega producer, 300 million volume a year. Let's hear your tips and tactics over the course of the years, because you're a juggernaut of information.
Well, just to kind of reiterate a lot of what's already been said, that piece is very good. Other direct mail, but basically, I actually like what Pete said, and I love what we heard in Cabo. I didn't sell 300 million this year. I didn't sell 3,150 properties in my career. I'm a brand new agent. We are all in a new real estate world, and like it or not, you got to get your ass to work. And I love what Pete was saying is like, do open houses, do what it takes, do a marketing budget, spend the money. Right now, there's a few things that are going on. 300,000 or 400,000 agents are going to be out of the business in the next year. And if we know that, we have an opportunity to take over market share. I tell people, customer service 5 years ago, Pete, 10 years ago, or Dennis, if you did a really good job for somebody 5 or 10 years ago, then they would give you business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. If I sell a $3 million house and I make $100,000 commission, they know what I'm making. I did a good job. I got paid, right? And if that's the case, then they don't owe us anything. It's all about, giving people not a good customer service. It's a customer experience. We're on our team, we call it white glove service. And I'm going to do a presentation with the whole group soon on some things that we're working with and my son on new marketing and all that. So, but getting back to it, you know, doing open, really it's getting back to basics, right? Talking to your database, bringing value, anything that you can give them. I always say to my team all the time, if you do something really well for a client and you don't let them know, it has zero value, right? The other thing that's going on is I'm predicting that mail and postcards and those brochures, those 4-page brochures and all that, I believe that this stuff is all gonna, it works right now and it's gonna only get better. And you know why? Because most of the people, you know, 30% of the agents in my marketplace are out of business. Just no one's told them yet, right? If you haven't sold a house in the last 3 months or 6 months, you know, you're out of the business. They're not spending the money that they used to. You know, when I talk to Matt's like, I'm doing more and I'm testing this, right? We do a lot of letters that are a company, and you've got a bunch of the names, but we do letters that are robo-drawn. So the return address, the name of the client, you know, to Matt Badiaga, 123 Main Street, Carlsbad. It looks like handwritten. Anything that you do that looks like handwritten, whether it's a postcard, a card that looks like you know, it's an invitation. I R&D that from Matt. I ripped it off and I'm duplicating it, right? That's what this is all about. This whole mastermind group is R&D, right? Rip off and duplicate. I mean, this group, I think we did, when I added up all the panelists, I think we did $1.7 billion of real estate last year. You know, I want to learn from you. But when you're doing mailers and they get 40 pieces a month or 10 pieces a month, and now they're getting 2 and yours stands out, then you're going to win, right? And the other thing is, I always tell people, buyers and sellers, they hire us by the things that we do differently. You know, I told you about that marketing piece that I have that is 11.5 by 7 folded in 3. It's a number 16 envelope. Oh yeah, here it is right here, right? This piece, when you put this piece, when you fold it and you put this piece in an envelope, nobody has ever received an envelope that this is that has this size, right? Another thing, if you're working, here's mine, right? This is 11 by 17 folded. This is the same company. This is magic. Another piece, it's a lot of work. If you've been in the business and you've been around, this piece is a gold mine. And what this is it is a, basically it's a yellow page guide. All right. So what it does is it just gives people. So, Dennis, I heard you wanted to move to Park City. And so if you move to Park City, and you just got here, and by the way, this is a lead generation tool. You don't give it to them after. As soon as you find out that somebody's going to move to your town, you give it. And so you say, Dennis, who do you know in Park City that does carpet cleaning, catering, chiropractor, childcare, contractors, dentistry, hairstylists, home inspections, home staging, home automation, internet providers, insurance, home warranty? And what this is it is a guide. It is me telling you, these are the people that I know, people that I trust. And by the way, if you call one of these people and they don't do a great job, I want you to call me because I'll take them out. I don't let anybody pay. I don't charge them. So I can tell them there's no money in the world that gets you in this book. If you're a contractor or you're a service provider, you have to be, the only way to get this in is by earning it. And the only way to get cut out of this is if you don't take care of my friend and great client, Dennis de Souza, right? So if you have a team, it's even better. There's 15 realtors in here, but they're all on my team, right? You know, I have my title company, I have my mortgage company, and so on. So we're really spending a lot of time on that. And then there's some other things that we're testing, and I don't share things that I test, mainly because there's a lot of people out there that they hear about something and then they share it with people. And I think that's a big mistake. I will share with you only two things that I know work and things that I know don't work. But I don't want to share and believe me, we're working on several things right now. And in 3 months, I'll tell you, don't do this. Don't spend the money that I did because it didn't work, but do this one thing. So those are just some of my kind of little tips.
I think that's great stuff, Dave. Can you put those in the chat, those different things, or ask Drew too? That would be great. So if people want to see examples of that or duplicate it or do something, I think it would be really beneficial.
Yeah, Drew is getting ready. We have a new development in Park City called, or just outside Frontier Acres, and he's getting ready. But I'll type in, I'm gonna stop talking and I'll stop typing some of these ideas in the chat to everybody so they can look, okay?
Dave, are you using?
That's great.
Sorry, Dave, do you use Letter Labs for your handwritten notes and envelopes?
No, we use that, you know, they're all pretty much the same. And
right.
Frankly, I wish I had Drew or Mike. Well, I'll get the, but the thing is you know, yeah.
I'll tell you guys, I shopped around a bunch of different companies and the cheapest one that I found and the best one that I found is that Letter Labs that I mentioned. The guy there, his name is Reed.
Yeah.
And I found them to be really good and inexpensive. I tested it with a company called Addressable, which is really good, but they're pretty expensive. So, I want to get as many handwritten cards out as I can. And so I was kind of shopping around to see where I could get the best deal. And the best one I found was the Letter Labs.
Thanks, man.
Not to say, I think Lurch's one is probably good too. I haven't checked them out.
Put all that in the chat so people can just do their own due diligence, you guys. Let's go over Brian Yarber. Look, he's out on the wilderness. He's fly fishing. It's a river runs through it. Give me some unique ways for people to get more listings, more sales right now.
All right. Well, first of all, I've found that my left hand is the best letter writer. Okay. Only because I'm a relationship person. So my unique lead generation stuff is going to be more about face-to-face, personal stuff, ways to generate now business with relationship tools. So for those agents out there who are, you know, individual, you don't have a team, or you're just building up your pipeline. You know, my brokers used to tell me, unless I get to 30 plus deals a month, I don't need an assistant. I just need a TC. And so I was always working. I like the luxury market. You do less deals, you earn more money. That's just part of the deal. So unique ways. Last week, I was talking about touching base with out-of-area listing agents within your area. When you touch base with an out-of-area listing agent in your area, your goal is just to build a relationship with them so they trust you with sign calls and leads that come from their listings that they don't have a team or a buyer's agent in your area. You just become the expert for them. So that's one really good one, right? So you build relationships every time. And once a month, maybe once a quarter, I had a habit of touching base with all of my wealthier investor clients who I know they had an appetite to buy something, but there may not have been something available for them. And so what I did was I got in the habit of purposely carving out one day every quarter to just preview what I thought were good deals in the MLS. Then I would go preview them. And I would take my list of names with me and I would make phone calls from within inside what I thought was a great deal. And I knew the client I was calling was not the buyer, but I knew that they were the unique lead generation person to the buyer. So I would make it a habit. I would go in luxury market areas and go on Caravan or go look at properties that I thought were a good deal, maybe on the market a while. And I'd make a call and I'd say, hey, Matt, it's Brian. I'm out in Rancho Santa Fe. I'm looking at this property. It's kind of beat up. It looks like, you know, it's been overlooked by some investors. And I'm just curious, do you have anybody that you know that would like to know about a property like this in Rancho Santa Fe for a couple $1 million that maybe is either a buy and hold or something? And I would get quiet. And typically Matt would say, oh, Brian, thanks for calling. You know, I'm not in the market right now, but you should call my buddy and give me a name. And is it okay to mention your name, Matt? Yeah, of course. Give him a call and see what he wants. So I got in the habit of building relationships with investors that would answer my call. And then most importantly, would give me the name of somebody else who became somebody new in my pipeline. And I would just politely call them. And I had a script. I'd say, hey, Joe, my name is Brian Yarber. I was talking to Matt the other day. I was out previewing a property in the luxury market. It looked like a pretty good deal. I personally saw it. I ran the numbers. I looked at it. Matt thought you might want to know about it. Just curious, you have any appetite for a property like that, or are you looking for any good deals? 9 times out of 10, I got a new relationship. I got a new buyer. I put him in my portfolio, and I just purposely built relationships this way. So get in the habit of building relationships, personal relationships. 30% of America, you guys, is owned free and clear by baby boomers who do not use technology. So if you're not touching base the way you need to touch base, you're missing out on a big part of your own area. Right, Dennis? So getting something into the hands of those people who don't use technology, because a lot of times the baby boomers who own their homes free and clear, they're not up to date on any of the stuff that we're talking about through KV Core and all these other things because it's missing them. So you've got to really look at and purposely carve out some time to touch base with that generation. Sometimes it's door knocking. Sometimes it's handwritten letters. Sometimes it's relationships. Okay, real quick, couple more things. FSBOs, if you're in a marketplace where there's FSBOs, here's what I like to recommend. Don't go after the listing, go after the relationship, okay? We're in the service and trust business. Go to a FSBO and ask them this. Hey, let me ask you, has any realtor stopped by to ask you for the list of people who are interested in buying your home? Do you have a list already put together of people who have maybe shown some interest in buying your home, but for whatever reason, you So FSBOs are great for lead gen. They'll give you. You can also ask a FSBO, hey, listen, could I hold your house open? I don't want your listing. I just want to meet all the buyers. Would you like somebody to qualify your buyers? Would you like somebody to take over? Are you cooperating with other realtors if they bring you a buyer? Just get used to comfortable to doing that. We talked about the 30 or 40% of agents are getting out of the business. They're a huge referral business. Somebody getting out of the business, all you do is politely touch base with them. Hey, I saw you're no longer in the business. I'm just curious. With me on my team. Would you mind me doing that? Another lead generation, right? So these are all relationship things. They don't cost a lot of money. Here's the big one. I go on Caravan almost every month, if not every week, in the luxury market to build relationships with the with this panel right here. This is the panel of people who I want to build relationships. I'll go up, and some of you know the Barry Estates, right? Luxury people. You get in a relationship with Jason Barry or Laura, his sister, or you go up and you meet Matt. Matt's got a team, but there's some agents who are in the luxury market. They don't have teams. They just operate really in their bubble. But what they don't do, I found out, is they don't go outside their bubble. If you're a buyer walking into the Covenant in Rancho Santa Fe, and you're going to buy a $5 million home, and you got a home in Alpine that you got to sell, they don't want that listing because it's out of their bubble. So you want to be their preferred listing referral agent working with them. I would just let Jason know, hey, Jason, you got any Alpine buyers? Send them my way. I'll gladly partner with you. I'll do a 50-50 with you on a listing in Alpine, just so you know that that deal is going to be done right. So that buyer for your seller knows. And when you do that, I'm telling you guys, old school relationships, they still work. They work on handshakes. There's agents out there who are missing out on that 30% of the free and clear market that is owned by the wealthy older school people who do not pay attention to any of this social media stuff and don't do anything other than old school ways. So if you're not building relationships like that, then you're missing a lot of business.
That's true. That's so true. And that's the big thing too, is a lot of people just don't know how to create those relationships. Real estate, the key thing to real estate is relationships. Let's go over to Randy because we're running out of time. This is all great stuff, you guys. Randy, what's your tips on unique ways to generate leads, get in front of investors, get people who are buying opportunities and flipping them and stuff like that? Because that's your sweet spot. That's your niche. And the thing I love is the investors that you're dealing with, they want to do it multiple times a year. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. Give some tips on how you find those people and how you build that relationship to not only find them opportunities, but to sell those opportunities over and over. You got to unmute in your office there.
I'm off the beach. I forgot how to work this thing.
I know. You have too much suntan on your fingers.
First thing I would say is
Suntan lotion.
Don't assume that if you're driving around for dollars and you see a property being rehabbed, don't assume that that investor already has an agent relationship. So that's number one. Figure out, it's pretty easy to find out who the owner is, right, of that property, and reach out to them and ask them straight that question, like, hey, I see you're doing this renovation. What are you planning on doing with it? Are you planning on selling it, keeping it for your portfolio, whatever the direction it goes? And if they're looking to sell, which most are, flipping it, then you ask, hey, are you already working with a realtor? If so, no problem. Maybe I can talk to your realtor and do some open houses when they can't do it, right? Can you give me your realtor's phone number? So then you take the conversation that way and get in on open house opportunities. If they don't have a good realtor in mind, then you could say, look, I'm not trying to get the listing necessarily. I want to see if I can actually help you sell this property, find a buyer, right? Would you be open if I knock the doors in that neighborhood just to see if anybody would like to bring a neighbor to their own neighborhood to buy this property, right? I know from working the business that a lot of people would love to pick their neighbor, right? And that's what our campaign is called. And is it okay if I knock around this neighborhood on your behalf and talk about your amazing property that you're going to have here, right? So that would be an easy angle, because now what I would do, once you get their approval, then I would actually become more of an advocate. And I think I talked about this months ago, where you become the advocate of that listing, but really of that owner, and say, look, I'm here to let you know who bought this property. If you're curious, they're going to be putting it on the market. In the meantime, if there is any noise, complaints, or anything that you're not happy with what's happening, please let me know and I'll let the owner know, right? Because I don't want this to disturb your neighborhood, right? So you come from that angle, not from, hey, like I'm looking to, are you planning on buying or anything like that? It's more about how do I speak to them, but not actually talk about selling, getting their business. So I always would put, hey, by the way, do you also know anybody that might be interested in buying? Because again, like I said, this property is coming to the market. And also a tip for you, Mr. Owner, if you are planning on selling, you might consider waiting because this property is going to set the next high price for this market because it's a renovated home, right? So all I'm doing is providing them tips and value, right? I'm not even asking them for business at all. But what is naturally could happen, of course, they'll be like, well, actually, I do know someone, right? And I think Brian is really good at this script where you ask them like, hey, who in the neighborhood that is thinking about selling? Is it someone that I can talk to, right? So you can work in many other scripts into it once you start the dialogue. But my initial reach out to those neighbors would not be actually talking to them about doing business with them, but always talk about, hey, do you know someone that's thinking about buying? Because this property is going to be renovated. Hey, is there any disturbance? Let me know. I can help and make sure that the owner handles it, right? And then if you are thinking or anybody's thinking about selling, let them know not to yet. Wait a couple months maybe if they can, because we'll probably set the next high price in the neighborhood. That would be an ideal way. And then you can follow that up with the second door knock later before it gets, goes on the market. You do a VIP open house for those neighbors, right? So now this is a second touch to the same group of people. And I'm talking about, honestly, like 20 homes, like something that's like on the street, like where everybody you're door knocking on has to drive by this house. So they know what house it is. Like, don't go too far out because then the campaign doesn't work, right? They're like, what house? I don't even know what you're talking about, right? So it's got to be something really close that you can literally do in a matter of a couple hours, if so. That's it. And then you do those 3 touches. The first one, like I said, then you do a VIP open house for them, only for them, right? And then after the fact, you got to hit them up again and share the good news, right? And
I love it.
Pick what it is. Did you sell it in 3 days? Share that. Did you sell it at the highest price in the neighborhood? Share that tagline. Whatever it is, pick that and put that on the postcard and drop it off at their door, right? You don't even have to mail anything because, again, it's a very small amount of people. So, and you can go and repeat this on all investor rehabs, even if you're not the listing agent yet. And then when an investor sees the work you do, there's a high probability they're going to want you to list their home or future ones. And I'll stop there.
No, that's great. And we're right at 10 o'clock, you guys. Listen, this has been a great session. Next week, I think we should do how you can maximize your production right now in this shifting market to get more market share. I unfortunately be traveling, so I won't be on, but somebody else will have to take the lead next week. I'm electing Craig Lurch because he's my brother from Philly to take the lead next week and really run with this. Everybody needs to know how to maximize their production right now. You guys, Randy, that was great stuff. Brian, great stuff from everyone. And I love that everybody is just coming from a place of contribution, sharing what's working right now. And remember, you're just one person away from a sale, right? So keep reaching out to people, keep asking them, who do you know who needs my help? And how can I earn your business? What do I need to do to earn your business? Go ahead, Brian Yarber.
Yeah, there's just for those 63 that are still on here, that script Randy gave you, I rephrased it, and it is, if you were me and you lived in this area, whose door would you go knock on knowing there's a good chance they need my or your help as a realtor? If you were me, give them a power position, and I guarantee you will get more results from that question when they show up at your open houses that Dennis is doing. Hey, if you were, you live in the area, great. Hey, if you were me, which one of your neighbors do you think would need my services? And then is it okay to mention that you told me to come knock on their door? With permission, you have a lead gen right there for a listing appointment. Doesn't matter if it's now or a year from now, they're ready to sell. All her kids are gone and she's got this too big of a house and she's going to need to sell. And they're going to now watch what you're doing on the other house. And that's going to confirm that that was a really good lead.
That's a great point. And what I always say, you guys too, and you can try this also, I always just say, hey, just between you and I and off the record, who do you know in the neighborhood that is thinking of selling, or who do you know who would love to move into your neighborhood that I should be speaking with? That's what I always say, just off the record, who do you know? And they'll always give me an insight. And then I usually say, just kind of break the ice too. Are there any of your neighbors in the neighborhood you want to get rid of? Because I can help you with that. That's what I always say. All right, but listen, guys, great mastermind. Hope everybody has a really successful weekend. There's a lot of things happening. Go make the market. Don't wait for the market to come to you. Do not be passive. Be proactive. Go make the market. We'll see you next week.
Show me the money. Let's go.